tonight on the Mac to the Future podcast. Tonight on the Mac to the Future Go LIVECAST. I'll get that right eventually. Practically at the moment that we started this, Jony Ive is said to be leaving Apple. Intego, the security software company, finds reasons for you to buy their software. Samsung might want more from Apple in penalties than in display sales. And Apple hires an ARM dude. So, Mac to ARM, right? That's all tonight on the Mac to the Future LIVECAST. Go! Hey everybody, sorry about last night. Things just got completely wonky, and by the time it got unwonkified, it was like almost 9 o'clock, and it was way too late to go ahead and start the show. So I was hoping that Warren was going to be available tonight, and he was. So we're gonna do this show tonight. So, but regardless, this is the Mac to the Future Go LIVECAST. And David is still in Italy. However, Warren Sklar is back from Italy. Now you guys didn't match up or meet up, did you, while you were there?
No, he was on a different part. He was I don't know. Italy's weird and big. We were here, and he must have been here.
So just like the wrong side of the boot.
Over there.
Is that what it is?
He's in Florence now. We did the Amalfi Coast, which is, you got Italy, and then you go south on one side. I forget which side it is, but you got the Amalfi Coast, and you got Sorrento, which is where we stayed, and you got Amalfi, and then you got the island, Cyprus? No, maybe Cyprus. A bunch of the islands. So we did a bunch of those islands. Then we took. Well,
Cyprus is like a whole is its own country.
Greece. No, that's Greece. Okay, it's not Cyprus. It's what's a big island that's everybody goes to around there?
You talking about
Sorrento, Amalfi?
God, if
Capri.
only there was some.
Capri.
Okay, if only there was some reference
Capri
that we could use to figure these things out. And in case people hadn't noticed,
almost like a map.
I got my cat. This is
it's a cat.
This is Jelly.
Hello.
And she's joining us this evening.
I have a dog. I could.
You gonna pick him up? Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not?
He's like, oh my God. Why are you doing this to me?
Help.
I'm just a dog.
Help me.
The big man has me in a strange place. Oh, that doesn't really come out sounding right.
Help. Who's that?
So you guys are up in your beach house, right?
Yeah. We are, yeah. So we got back from Italy, and we're going to live here for the summer. I got my beach house, and I think there's my pool.
Nice.
Ah.
Yeah, you guys are like right there at not Atlantic City. Darn it. Yeah, Belmar, which is like just south of Bruce Springsteen land. Asbury Park. Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah. So,
I could not remember. You and I actually met up there.
Park, we could almost.
It's like just to the north.
Yeah, we met over there.
Yeah, there was that.
Asbury Park is. I can almost walk to it.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want to, but you could.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a couple of quick takes. Do I have comments on? I do. I do have comments on. So somebody make a comment so I can make sure that they're working. Some quick takes. There was some good updates to Apple's Office suite of Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, many text options. Collaboration the collaboration tools are updated, and the ability to link within a document to other parts of the document. Okay, so comments are working too. Good. Let's see what else we got. Apple buys into a self-driving car company, so everybody thinks an Apple car is imminent. No, it isn't. And lastly, is Microsoft about to make ARM-based Surface tablets? No, they're not. Yes. They already did that before, and it didn't work. Yeah. Surface RT. It didn't work.
Yeah, but it's working now. They're not ARM, but they're making Qualcomm tablets, which is similar. And
okay,
Qualcomm
is that based on ARM?
Are out there and they're working. I don't know. Qualcomm it might be its own thing, but it's similar. It's not Intel, so it's they run full-blown versions of Windows. They have better battery life, and they come with a 4 LTE modem built in. So you'll see a couple of them out there. There's not a lot of them. But they're
going to run in, aren't they going to run into the same problem that they did with the Surface RT, where the stuff that works for regular Windows doesn't work other than Office?
No, this works. No, it runs full Windows 64-bit apps, just like any other Windows computer.
Really? So it has to be x86 based then, the processor inside. I mean, there's
Qualcomm.
How else are you going to do it?
They got it to work.
Okay. I don't get it, but that's not a huge surprise.
Google, how's it work?
I don't know, man. I'm so confused. We have the big story that just kind of broke just a few hours ago, actually. Jony Ive is leaving Apple, sorta. That he's creating his own design studio, and Apple will still remain as one of his clients, but he's not going to be, there on a day-to-day basis. The next guy in line, I can't think of what his name is. He'll be assigned all of the different teams for the different products that Apple creates. So while he pursues his personal projects, Ive and his new company will continue to work closely and on a range of projects with Apple. You probably already heard about this, Warren. What was the first thing that went through your mind?
I'm excited that we're going to get very fat phones with probably like 4 earphone jacks in there, and not the rounded edges anymore. Just
6 batteries,
and square edge phone, like 6 batteries. It's going to be like a weapon. You could kill people with it. I'm
actually looking forward to the return of SCSI ports. I want to see SCSI ports.
There are the iPhone
on iPhones.
12 is going to have like 20 ports on each side, and they're all going to be like USB 1, 2, SCSI, FireWire. But then my other thought was this guy probably has a lot of money and he's working his way towards retirement, and I don't think it has it to do with anything other than he just feels like he wants to do his own thing. I don't think there's a problem at Apple that he's worried about. I don't think it's it's probably just burnout, and he probably just wants to go towards retirement. He's been doing it for a while.
Well, I mean, he's been there. He's been there, I think, for over 20 years. Doing the same things over and over and over again, and Apple continues to make things thinner and lighter. But to throw the joke aside, I would like to see some different designs. Sorry, 92 is when so it was 25 years ago.
He started in 1992.
27 years ago. Long time. That's a long time with a single
It's
company,
almost 30 years.
especially in California.
Yeah.
So, I would like to see
I think
some
he's just-
iMacs with some different designs, or just some different Mac computers that have, and again, I'm not talking about, so many people when I've seen a lot of stories on this, and they're talking like, okay, well, we're finally going to be able to change batteries, and we'll be able to swap out hard drives, and it'll be like the good old days. No, I think Apple as a company is pretty much done with making computers on the low end that lets you kind of tinker with them. They're appliances. That's what the Mac has become. The Mac is an appliance, and it runs a variety of applications that do the things that you want to do, and that's pretty much what it is now. What do you think?
It's an airplane.
Airplane.
Hold on.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're outside your house doing a live cast.
I don't even know. I don't even know where to. I don't have a room in there, so I don't know what to do. Anyways,
As long as
Jony
it's not
Ive does
raining
that much
anymore. I'm sure he's got like final approval on a lot of it.
But I don't think he does as much as people think he does anymore. I think he approves stuff, but they have a whole bunch of designers. I hear stories of how they get their designs now, and it's like sounds like a romper room. There's one story about there's like an intern or some low level guy that just goes in every day, and they have like a machine that just kind of cuts out random patterns of metal, and he just does that like a couple hours a day, and he throws into this big bin. And then when they want to design, like, the design team like goes like this with that. This is true. And pulls out like pieces of metal.
Covers their
like,
eyes. They're like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
This could be the front of the new Mac Pro kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I think they got a whole thing. So I'm not going to, there's not going to be any change in design, at least for the next few years, I don't think.
No, even if he completely left the company and had nothing whatsoever to do with Apple anymore, we would still be seeing Jony Ive hardware designs for the next 2 years. Companies design far into the future from product releases. So, it's not like Apple is living in a vacuum and that they're never going to have another Ive-based computer, because that's just not the way it's going to work. All right, you ready to go to the next story?
Tim Cook's like Jony Ive's leaving. We're going to design a new product. It's going to be like The Simpsons with the Homer cars. So he's going to be up there with the big Tim Cook with a drawing board. He's going to be like, it's going to explode.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, next story. Firefox 0 day that you almost literally have to jump through hoops to be infected by. So if you're running an older version of Firefox, work for a cryptocurrency office, and blindly click links to sites and awards you've never heard of, you might get infected by malware called OSX/Mokes. Now, audio people know what VST plugins are, don't you? You know what VST plugins are, Warren? I'm here to tell you. Okay. It stands for Virtual Studio Technology, and these are plugins designed to emulate more traditional recording hardware. Okay, you got that. The important part is that these mostly cost money. Yes. Now, a lot of people with absolutely no ethics prefer to get other people's hard works for free, so they scour the internet for free cracked versions of whatever it is they think they need. In this case, this might bite them in the ass, as there was a VST distributed that included malware. And here's the weird thing. It runs in the background almost like a virtual machine, like a Linux OS, and it's used to mine cryptocurrency, of which, of course, you as the owner of the computer receive no benefits whatsoever. Now, the last one is malware that seems to create just like new tabs in Safari. If these things concern you, Intego would like to sell you antivirus software. If you aren't stupid and follow basic security practices, you likely won't have to worry about it. But this apparently was a big deal.
I have no comment. It's yeah. All right. Next story. Don't download anything bad.
Yeah,
Pay for
yeah,
your
just
stuff.
yeah, pay for your stuff, you know? This isn't rocket science. Next one is Apple may owe
It's the same with any
Samsung
computer.
some won. Story from 9 to 5 Mac. Some reports claim that the exclusive model of OLED displays Samsung makes for Apple and the iPhone X model sold too few, and Apple owes Samsung for not enough orders. The amount could be in millions. I said millions of dollars. However, the same reports claim that Apple and Samsung may just keep their exclusive display relationship rather than Apple spreading it out to other manufacturers. Now, on a side note, I saw I didn't link to it, but I saw a story. It's all right. I saw a story that Apple was looking to bail out a Japanese display company. I think it was Panasonic or maybe a different company.
Okay.
But it was a Japanese display company, and they were going to invest $120 million, which, you know, off the top of your head, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money. But it's really not, because you're talking about a factory that's making OLED displays. So you've got all the tooling and everything else that you need to do that. And that can, the costs to start up at something like that can run into the billions. So, you know, Apple throwing in $120 million may just be something to keep their hand in rather than actually having them create more displays.
Don't they have a couple suppliers? Well, they used to. They used to go with LG displays too, I thought.
Well, they have different suppliers for LED displays for the 8 and the 10R, as well as, I guess, are they still making the 7?
Okay.
You know, so all of those phones that are still using
Maybe,
LED displays.
But also the computers.
Oh, the processors.
Yeah, and the computers too. No. The computer screen, MacBook screens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
So,
because I remember there was a Retina. What was it? Yeah, in 2015 or 16, there was a problem with or 14. There was 2 different LED displays, one by Samsung, one by LG, and one had a problem, and the other one didn't. They used 2 different manufacturers. So I know they do that also for the MacBook computer screens too. But they all need to go to OLED and get rid of LED screens. They're boring already.
Well, and Apple has an exclusive design that they use for the iPhone 10. So there's that. All right.
Right.
Going to go on to our last story. This might be a shorter show than usual. Go figure. More ARM talk.
Nobody's here.
I know. That's all right. We've got 4 people watching, so that's a good thing. But I mean, it's not a ton of people, but you know, hey, it's quality. It's quality people watching. The story from Mac Rumors. There's more talk about the Mac moving to ARM processors with the recent hire of Mike Filippo, who has worked for several processor design firms, including Intel, AMD, and other ARM manufacturers. He's had a hand in the design of several Cortex ARM chips while employed by ARM Holdings. You know, and this is another case of the tail wagging the dog, where there's a lot of people speculating that, you know, the fact that they've hired this guy who's an ARM chip designer means that, you know, any day now, you know, Mac's going to ARM, it's going to happen, and it fails to happen. You know, I mean, I was on the ARM bandwagon for many, many, many years. And pretty much once the iMac Pro came out, and now with the addition of the new upcoming Mac Pro, I just don't see them going to ARM for Macs. And I think the nail in the coffin for me was at WWDC when they announced the iPad OS, which of course, I mean, it's just an offshoot of iOS, but they're making changes to the iPad to make it more desktop-like, to make it more along the lines of what people expect their regular computers to be. So the fact that they've hired an ARM guy, I think, is just more along the lines of let's have the best ARM processors that we can possibly have. Much, but certainly not along the lines of let's put ARM chips in Apple as the main processors. I just don't see that happening. I just can't see Apple splitting the Mac line. And if they were going to move the Mac to ARM processors, I think they would have done it before they did the updates to the Mac Mini and the recent updates to the iMac and announced the Mac Pro. I think that all these brand new Intel-based Macs pretty much means that they're sticking with Intel for the time being, or at least x86. The thing that I always thought they should have done was buy AMD and have their own x86 processor. This is where you jump in, Warren.
No.
Warren?
I'm nodding my head. I'm agreeing with most of it. Yeah. No, I'm here. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
McFly.
Okay. Hey. McFly. No, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. Actually, I think they wouldn't have done. It's going to be almost impossible to split up the line, and some people are thinking maybe the 12-inch MacBook would go ARM and the other ones wouldn't, but I don't even see how they could even do that with different set of software and different emulators and things like that. It would just be messy. So it would go either all in or not all in, and I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't think they know how they can do that, and maybe they're hiring this guy to try to figure out if it's even possible. But on the Mac side, I mean, I think I thought the Touch Bar uses a ARM chip in there too. On some of the Macs, I think there's the T2 chip maybe uses ARM. So there's ARM components in some of the MacBooks right now. But I think you're right. I think probably, they're gonna maybe work on converging the iPad into some kind of real computer, and maybe 2, 3, 4 years from now, it will be a powerful ARM chip, and it will do more desktop-like things, and maybe eventually everything will converge into one, and that's probably what they're hoping for. But it's not going to be like next WWDC or they're going ARM to everything, because it's not technically clean to do it. There's just too much going on. And
Well,
even,
I mean,
even
they have
Microsoft
done
can't
this
do
in the
that.
past, where they've changed processors 3 times. They've made 3 or 4 major changes to OS 10 and classic Mac OS over the years, but there was almost always clear-cut signs that this was coming. And this particular time, it's kind of like, there's nothing really concrete there that says this is going to happen. Now, they do have this ongoing concern with making it so that developers can develop for iOS, the iPad OS, and the Mac OS, and possibly even Watch OS and TV OS all at the same time with a similar code base.
Right.
But that's not saying that everything is going to go ARM. That's just saying they're making it easier for developers to create software for different processors.
They're trying to get unified apps, which is more of a development thing. They want to create. They want people who's able to create an app for an iPad to be easily to put that on a Mac,
Right.
or vice versa.
Or iOS, or if it's something that you
Um,
could run on the Apple TV over on the TV OS. So yeah, why
Listen,
not make it
in like 2
easier?
years, in 2 years, yeah. What I'm saying, in a few years, if it was, if they came out and said, listen, here's the new MacBook Pro. It's going to run exactly everything it does before. Everything's going to look pretty much like the other ones, except it's running on an ARM processor. We're using some emulation. It's faster than it was before. And your developers, this is how you can start writing for the new operating system. That's how they kind of did it in the past with the old one, with Rosetta. They had Rosetta put out. Rosetta kind
Right.
of
It was a stopgap.
used the emulation layer, and they said it was a stopgap, but they'll have to do the same thing. They'll have to emulate x86 for a while until they could get off it. But in order to emulate it, they have to have a chip that's going to be a lot faster because emulation takes resources.
Right.
So you can't just put like a emulation on top of what we have now. It would just run like crap. So it has to get to a point where if you handed me MacBook A and MacBook B, one had an ARM chip and one had an Intel chip, I would have to not know the difference as a consumer which one was which, or at least have the old one not be any worse than the new one, or vice versa, for it to work. Otherwise, it's not going to work. They have to get to that point, and once they get to that point, then they could maybe think about doing like a year migration to the new chip, if that's what they want to do. But I think they're just in a fact-finding phase now, and I don't think there's any solid plans to do it.
No, I don't think so anymore either. I think the Mac is the Mac, and iOS / iPad OS is ARM. I don't think that there's going to be a major change where the Mac is going to move in one direction. I think it's probably more likely that they'll push the iPad to be your primary computer rather than taking the Mac and turning it into an ARM-based computer. I just don't see that happening anymore. So
I definitely see it. Yeah, that's definitely their goal. Their goal is to get the iPad to be more of a computer. That's their end goal right now. So see how it goes. Yeah.
And the experiment that I was doing by doing this over on my website instead of here on Facebook, earlier this week I did put something in the Mac the Future group asking what people wanted, and the overwhelming response was that people preferred it here on Facebook. So that's why we're back here on Facebook. And that's not to say that I won't
the chat
try again. Yeah, people didn't like the chat for one reason or another. I thought I think the biggest problem with the chat was when you went to it, it didn't already know who you were. So even though you could change the name of whatever the standard default was when you first went in, or make an account with whatever I can't remember the name of the company now that did the chat client. It's over there on my site. It's not a bad chat client, but it's like, okay, this is one more hoop, one more account, one more, something that I've got to put something in to do something that's basic that I'm already doing on Facebook or Google or one of the other live streaming platforms. It's
Can we go back to AOL?
Yeah, we should. We should just go back to AOL. Yeah, and you've got mail. Why not?
Yeah, the chat rooms. Yeah,
yeah, because that was so great.
We'll call it like Guy GUI for Sex Fun Chat Room or something.
No,
like
I still have my old AOL account. I still have it. Florida Kid. That was my name.
So do I. I have an AOL account.
But that was, I grabbed that name
and too. It's my spam account.
It was like early 90s when I got that. I was much more of a kid than I am, then than I am now. Okay. Yeah, I'm coming up on 59.
Hey, dude, I'm a 50-year-old kid.
Yeah, 59-year-old man who doesn't actually live in Florida anymore. So, Yeah, there is that.
There you go.
So, real quick before we go, we are about 4 weeks away from the MacStock Conference and Expo for 2019. This is going to be held, as most of you that watch this know, in Woodstock, Illinois, which is just outside of Chicago. It's going to be on the 27th and 28th of July, which is the last weekend of July. This is a fantastic conference and so much fun. It's more geared toward fun and community than the standard conference that you may have attended in the past. And the best part is it's also a hell of a lot less expensive than all those other conferences. $249.
See, I was going to conferences that were...
What?
Well, you were saying that this one's about fun and community. I was wasting my time with the terrorizing and boring ones.
Yeah, that's right. You were.
That was my problem.
Yeah, exactly. But $249
is a lot.
Is the total price. And you don't even have to pay that much if you use the coupon code MyMacGuy, MyMacGuy. You will get an additional $70 off, making your total price for the conference $179. Now, of course, if you don't live in Chicago, you still have to pay money to get to that area. But that's pretty cheap, depending on where you're coming from. Plenty of hotels in the area. Basically, once you're there, everything is geared around the conference for that entire 2 days. You don't want to miss it. You can get more information at MacStock 2019 or MacStock Conference and Expo. .com. So go and check that out. Warren, if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do it? Or could they? Is it even possible? I don't think it's possible.
In Guatemala.
You're in Guatemala.
Send me a care package in Guatemala. Warren at Guatemala. There you go.
Yeah.
I like that one.
It's none of your Guatemalan business.
Yeah, I'm nowhere. You can't find me. Yeah. Come to the beach. If you want to come find me, meet me at the beach. I'll buy you
some beach somewhere. We're not going to tell you what beach it is. Though actually, I guess we kind of already did.
I'll find it.
So,
beaches. We don't need any beaches.
We don't need no stinking beaches. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can send me an email, guy@mymac.com. I am also on the Twitters. I am MacParrot and also Vert Shark. You can find me on either one of those over there on the Twitters. I also do the mymac.com podcast with Gazmaz. I've been doing that for over 10 years now. We are coming up real close. We're coming up on our 500th show together. We started at 285 and we are currently on, I think, 759. So we're like 26 shows away from our 500th episode. So we're looking to sometime next winter, we'll hit our official 500th episode. But we have a lot of fun with it. And of course, there's this podcast here, the Mac to the Future LiveCast Go, which you can tell I put so much time and effort into. And lastly, there is Guy's Daily Drive that I've been trying to do more often. It's a show that I record in my car while driving, so it's horribly dangerous, and I probably shouldn't do it. I do it anyway. So, with having said all that, thank you all so very, very much for joining us tonight on the Mac to the Future LiveCast, Mac to the Future Go LiveCast. I always screw that up. I don't know why. And hopefully next week we will have David back. Should have David back next week.
I think so.
He can't stay in Italy forever.
So just a quick story with that Realcast is before I left for Italy, I decided to put the betas on all my products, including my Apple Watch, which is irreversible. So I decided I was just going to go with it. So I went to Italy, beta 1 on everything, and I survived pretty well. But David, I don't know if David, but a few people said, you're crazy. It's going to be terrible. And then the ironic part is David, with his release software on the normal release software on his iPhone, his iPhone decided to reset itself. He had to go to Apple, His eSIM stopped working. Mine worked great. I use something called GigSky, which worked perfectly. So you never
That's a
know.
UK company, I
You
think.
never know.
Isn't GigSky a UK
maybe.
company?
Yeah, I don't know. It worked. I
Okay.
have no idea.
I actually
it's,
put
eSIM. Yeah.
the beta on my iPad, my iPad Pro, and
Yeah.
so far, knock on wood, it's been fine. I really kind of like it. Some of the new accessibility features and UI changes that they've made, once you get used to using them as compared to the way it was before, is much better.
And once
I haven't hooked up like a hard drive or
once
anything
you put
to
out
it
the
yet,
fire,
though.
it's fine.
Yeah, pour water on it. Ah! All right, everybody.
It's okay. It's fine. It still works.
Still works.
All right,
We are
I'm out of here
we're
too.
okay.
I'm being eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, are you going to be outside next week, or are you going to find a place inside? Or do you know?
I'll try to find something inside, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe.
okay, everybody.
We'll see.
We'll see you next week.
All right,
Good night.
I'll see you.
Say good night, Warren.
All right. Night. Good night, Warren. All right.